Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Angie's Angles. It is May the 14th in the year of my Lord 2026. Thank you for joining for another edition of Angie's Angles. And who are these New York Metropolitans? We hardly knew ya. What happened to my beloved New York Pyrites? Where have they gone? I almost came on with a paper bag over my head. I can't recognize who these guys are. A sweep of the Tigers. Holy cannoli and call it macaroni, for God's sakes. Unbelievable. Wait, if you had 5 home runs on the bingo card, you win. Unbelievable. What is going on? You thought we were up for a loss when Nolan McLean gave up a 3-run homer in the first. Hey, Harold, thanks for joining us tonight, brother. Harold, your Cubbies are falling on some dark times currently, but don't worry. They'll turn it around. Harold Atkins, making me do interstate. A little programming note. It is the eve of the yearly event, Smokinos in the Poconos up in Drums, Pennsylvania. That's where I'll be exactly after this podcast. Me and my buddy Dave, Ralphie will join us tomorrow. We're headed to Drums, PA for the best cigar pub where it's a cigar extravaganza weekend. If you know what I mean. We rented an Airbnb, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, costing us $1.80 a guy at $60 a night, and you can't beat that. If you're a cigar aficionado, I highly recommend it. It's my 2nd year, and I can't wait to get there. We're going to have 75 degrees on Saturday, the main event, and I'll be loving life. But back to baseball, if I will. Now, Kevin Elliott's bringing us this important information, and thank you, Kevin. I was in Manhattan all day yesterday. Then we had late night breakfast at Adelphi University for the students. So I had to do double shift. So I didn't watch the ball game. But Kevin tells me to watch the play at the plate on the delayed double steal with Benge trying to steal home. And the catcher, 1,000% pre-ball receiving. Before the catcher had the ball, he was blocking the plate. That is a no-no according to the Buster Posey rule. In addition, they did an amendment where the catcher must give a path to the home plate, or as you will say, a runner's path or a slider's path to the plate. And the Detroit Tiger catcher absolutely blocked the plate. Body, soul, mind, and knee pads. If you know what I mean. So I just watched the replay at the suggestion of Kevin. He's 100% right. Yet the announcers, Carlos Mendoza, who is Carlos Mendoza? Who is this bum? We're up against the Skankies this weekend, and Ralph, my dear friend Ralph, is a diehard Yankee fan, and there's no love lost in baseball, so it's all balls to the walls this weekend. The Skanks playing our beloved Metsies, all at Citi Field this weekend. And it looks like it's going to be a dynamic weekend weather-wise. Speaking about weather-wise, it was supposed to be a washout today, but it turned out to be a beautiful day, and I don't know if you can see the glow of the sun on me because I was out in the yard all day, thanks Danny, picking up all the shed debris and hauling it to the dump. Who knew that the dump now charges to dump your wood? Cost me $90 today to make 3 hauls of wood to the dump. But that's Brookhaven for you, also known as Crookhaven. Anyway, I'm very excited about this weekend. I'll be able to either listen on the radio and or the television, watch the New York Metropolitans take on the New York Skankies. It's going to be, we got Clay Holmes, an ex-Skanky, pitching for us tomorrow night. We also have Dave Peterson going for us, so, not so confident about that, but I'm glad Brazaban's not starting the game. Holy smokes. Put Peterson back in the rotation. Follow him up with Shaw Manea if he gets into trouble. My humble opinions. So believe it or not, there was a sinkhole on the LIE. That's our main thoroughfare here on Long Island. Interstate 495. A sinkhole. Who would have thunk it? Unbelievable. Anyway, the baby Mets did it today. McLean, Benge, AJ Ewing having phenomenal games today. And then the semi-babies, Vientos and Beatty. Holy Hannah. An offensive juggernaut. You had also Marcus Semien, the old-timer, contributing with a home run, and Juan Soto hitting his 5th today for the New York Metropolitans. But here's a little fun fact that you might not know. Who leads the New York Mets in home runs? A guy with limited at-bats, believe it or not, one, Mark Vientos. He has 6. Mark Vientos is leading the New York Metropolitans in home runs this season so far, with Soto on his tail with 5. Marcus Semien hit his 3rd today, Beatty his 2nd. And, of course, AJ Ewing is 1st. And AJ Ewing is the first player in Major League Baseball for his first 2 games as a major leaguer to hit a triple and a home run in his first 2 games. So a couple little fun facts for you diehard Met fans. We're sitting at 3 games out of 2nd place right now. 3 games out of 2nd in a division that's upside down anyway. The Braves seem to be doing what the Braves do every year. They're winning game after game after game. And the Phillies have picked it up a little bit. But the New York Metropolitans are on a 3-game winning streak, sweeping the Detroit Tigers, who are currently sitting in last place in their division. With Tariq Skubal on the DL. He's going to be out for a little length of time. And speaking about DLs, so is Francisco Alvarez. And this could be a gift wrapping in the making, people. My buddy Rob Roll and I, long ago, criticized his swing as being way too long. And he's had plenty of time to redefine his swing, and he chooses not to. Every swing is from the heels. Alvarez, just use your oppo power. Sit on the ball, let it get deep on you, go the other way. And you'll see they'll start changing the way they pitch to you, my friend. But he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, if not longer, with a tear in his meniscus. And as a catcher, that could be very debilitating. That's going to be something very difficult to come back to in full capacity, in my humble opinion. I like Senga and Terens as our platoon right now because they put the ball in play. Alvarez is all or nothing with this kid. And I think he just is power hungry. He's got to learn how to slap and spray the ball all over the field for him to be successful. He could be a 20 home run guy, but he could also be a 260 guy. He just needs to get those base hits. Now, Kevin Elliott thinks there's something wrong with Bo Bichette. He thinks he's dealing with a physical injury that's preventing him from driving the ball. Now, I've watched a couple of Bo Bichette at-bats. Bo Bichette has hit the ball oppo, but right at people. Line drives right at people. And that's what baseball is. It's a game of inches, as we all know and love. So sooner or later, we anticipate those balls starting to drop. He's been a 300 hitter his whole life. So what that tells us, if he's going to stick true to the back of his baseball card, Bo Bichette's going to have to go at a 370, 380 clip to climb back up to the 300 number. And he's not incapable of doing that, especially with the spark that these kids between Benge and AJ Ewing are doing. And if we get a little confidence behind Vientos, look out, National League. So we're only sitting, I believe it was 6 or 7 games out of the wild card with 122 games to play. Sure, there's a lot of teams in front of us. Don't get me wrong. I am not professing that we're on the cusp of making the playoffs, but we're absolutely in the right direction. Absolutely in the right direction. Speaking about the Skankies, good thing that we're going to skip Max Fried, but regardless of that, he's come up with an injury, undiagnosed at the moment. He has dealt with blister problems in the past, and maybe that's what the issue is this time too. But we're going to see what happens. If the Skankies lose Max Fried, who has been unconscious this season, they're in a heap of trouble. Their pitching's already decimated. They got Garrett Cole, 37 years old, coming back off the DL very shortly. But what Garrett Cole are you going to see? Are you going to see the Cy Young Garrett Cole, or are you going to see the 37-year-old pulling his ass to the mound night, Garrett Cole? I'm very excited, get jacked up for these Subway Series. We tend to have our way with the Skankies most of the time. So it's going to be fun. I'm going to be upstate, up in the Poconos with my buddies. I got John Halfway House. I got Tommy Snacks. I got Bobby. We got JR. Got a bunch of guys coming. We got Mike. We got a bunch of guys headed up there either tonight or tomorrow. And we're going to be puffing our lungs out the entire weekend. So for that, I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Harold, I'm going to put you on the big screen. And I'm going to have to disagree with you. Harold wants to let us know that he feels bad for Alvy with his injuries. He's headed to John Stearns territory. Harold, Alvy could have helped himself. He's got to learn that this is a marathon and not a sprint. And every at bat doesn't need to be resulting in a home run. And I said that prior to the podcast right here, or during the podcast, that Alvy's got to hit the ball that's thrown to him. If it's on the outside corner, sit on it and drive it over to first base and get on base to let these other guys bring you in. Now, Kevin Elliott also brought up that initially he disagreed with Ewing batting eighth, but now he sees the smartness in it. Now, whether this was analytics, whether this was Carlos Mendoza, was he forced to do it from David Stearns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Putting that guy down eighth and even ninth, and Danny did this in high school ball. His coach put him on ninth, and Danny led the team in RBIs, stolen bases, runs scored from the ninth position. Now, those that follow along Danny's career prior to him giving it up knew that he was Lightning McQueen. He was fast as lightning, this kid. This kid could run through a brick wall and not even flinch, if you know what I mean, because he's got that much speed. So having A.J. Ewing down in the eighth spot, and again, be mindful, you only bat that position one time in the game. Then every other time, you might be the fourth place hitter. You might be the second place hitter. You might be the leadoff hitter. So it's not a bad situation to be in. And there's a couple of things to say about these kids. And Kevin taught me this. These guys are baseball guys. He made a very interesting point. Kevin said, whoever these guys played under, to prime them for their Major League Baseball audition or appearance, that's the guy who should be managing the New York Mets, because apparently that manager, whether it was AA, AAA, single A, got through to these kids, taught them how to play the game right. And I think we need to take a deeper look at that if we're looking at a future manager for the New York Metropolitans. Now, sad to this guy, this 3-game winning streak kind of takes Mendoza off the hot seat just a little bit. So we're going to see what happens. And Harold's telling me He believes that guy's the first base coach for the New York Mets, who I couldn't even tell you who our first base coach is. I got to be honest with you. I have no idea. All I know is he's a Mendoza guy. And that's all you need to know about that. But if he is the manager that did this to these kids, I wouldn't be opposed to handing him the reins and see what he could do. But you can't argue. You cannot argue the spark that these two kids are bringing to the team. Now, sure, Carson Benge got off to a very auspicious start. Not a good start at all with the New York Metropolitans. But I believe it's in the last 12 games he's batting 3 and change. He had another 2 hits today. Fantastic. He made that error the other night in right field. He just took it for granted and he didn't take in the spiraling wind. We had blizzard-like conditions with the wind last night, with the wind. So I can't fault him 100%, but you can't lollygag that fly ball. And you can't catch it over your shoulder. You have to run to the spot, turn around, and catch the ball with 2 hands, Carson Benge. So let's see what happens in the future on these plays. I mean, Louis Robert, we're hearing that it could be a long-term. We already know that Lindor's long-term. We already heard that Alvarez is long-term. So does the Clifford clock begin? Ryan Clifford, first base, big pop-up, power, plays the position flawlessly. Is he the next call-up? The problem with that is if Vientos stays hot and Beatty starts hitting, who are we releasing? Who are we dropping? So the question is, maybe we let Manea go. Maybe we need his contract. Or maybe we get rid of him for a bag of donuts. And then we call up Weninger, who's lights out down in the minors. And don't forget about Jonah Tong. And Christian Scott pitched the game of his life the other night. So these kids all have life. And with the situation that we're in, what harm would it do to bring up these kids and let them play? Maybe it'll spark some fountain of youth euphoria to these veterans to make them look behind their back. I mean, I know, listen, you're paying Bichette $30 million, you're paying Soto's not going anywhere, and Bichette's not going anywhere, but it just might spark them to do a little bit better. Marcus Semien is, I think, producing at above expectations at the moment. He just hit his 3rd home run today. Bringing in the RBIs, etc., playing a pretty solid second base. I saw him make a play the other night that was extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. So, we got Mauricio on the DL. We've got a lot of injuries, but so do every other team, and this is where you need to rely on your depth. And the depth that David Stearns, as much as I despise the man, has produced and accumulated, you can't argue. You can't argue the depth that we have. So it'd be interesting to see if Ryan Clifford gets the call. Tune in next week. I'm going to do a deep dive into his numbers, and I'll report back to you on that. So any questions from the peanut gallery? There's no Clark tonight because I was going to give his Cardinals a shout-out. 25 and 18. If you had that on your bingo card, you win. But I don't think, Clark, you had that on your bingo card. Enjoy it while it lasts, my friend. Enjoy it while it lasts. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Mets do against the Skankies. It could be an uplifting series or it could be a demoralizing series because everybody and their grandmother knows that the New York Skankies are the big brother in the league, right? They do everything this, everything that, everything that. Hey, Clark, what's going on? I just gave your St. Louis Cardinals a shout out at 25 and 18, Clark. Clark, if you had that on your bingo card, you win. Jordan has just been unconscious, and I like that kid. I was rooting. Hey, what's up, Mark Brooks, my brother from another? I was rooting for the Mets to go get Jordan, but alas, they didn't. Why the fires were hot? They didn't go and inquire about him, and now he's untouchable. He's been playing lights out. The guy's got a ton of talent. He just needs to put it together, and he's doing it currently. And for the St. Louis Cardinals. So good for you, Clark. Where are we at? The 8:50 mark. All right. I'm gonna go right into the prayer circle so I have to run home. I gotta meet my buddy Dave. I gotta finish packing. I'm only semi-packed. Babs had me out in the yard today, hauling dumpster garbage to the dump. We took down the shed in the backyard, so I had to get rid of the wood. And who knew that the dump charges you? It's crazy. Anyway, all right, here we go. This is the prayer circle this week, if you will. Harold, we're praying for your wife, Dawn. Your friends, Carol and Bob, Doug and Allison. Scott Tobias, I need an update, my friend, on your wife, your mom, and your son, Anthony. Terry, we're praying for your mother-in-law and your mom. Antoinette Brooks, we're still praying for your brother Mike in search of a kidney. Linda Stein, my friend, we're praying for your mom and dad, yourself, including that new chapter in your life. Kevin Elliott, we're going to pray for your health challenges. Deb and Lee down in Maryland, we're praying for Lee. Marianne Bello, praying for you guys out there in Vegas. Larry Levy, we're praying for your wife Frida as her cancer remains in remission. Mr. McGowan, sir, we have your back, my friend. Ralph, we're praying for you, my friend, with your health and personal challenges in the agita. Pete and Shani, I'm hoping to have Pete back as my co-host with the most hosts. Shani starts a new career, I think, on Monday. They're going to lock into a new house. Their grandson is home, so thank you for the prayers. He's maintaining his weight. Big John, we're praying for your friend Irene. Joe Echevarria, we're praying for your heart issues. West Coast Dave Prince, praying for your blood issues. Johnny Barbecue, I think next week you come off the prayer circle because your sciatica has been resolved. John W., pray for Elizabeth. Johnny V., praying for your father-in-law. We're going to see you tomorrow, John. Mike, we're praying for your dad, Richard. Mark Brooks, remain vertical, my friend. And we're praying for Anaya, his uncle. And Anaya won an award at school. So congratulations, Anaya. Keep us proud, my friend. Tom's friend, Pat, we're praying for, and his cousin Jim, who passed, we're praying for their family. Jason Mertz, we're praying for his son Colton, rehabbing his knee injury. Fireman Mike, my poker buddy, we're praying for your health challenges. Mikey Bikes, we're praying for your mom. And Clark, we kept your grand dog Finn in our prayers and hope you guys are recouping as Finn crossed that rainbow bridge. Clark is asking for his friend Bill Copes and his wife, who's very ill. So we're praying for the Copes family. Clark's good friend Bill, whose wife is very ill. So Clark, you're included on the prayer circle. I'm going to write this down and keep it on there for next week. Listen, Harold, the Cubs just signed Lucas Giolito. I was begging the Mets to sign Lucas, begging them. I think Lucas has one more run in him. Anyways, you got it, Clark. So I'm wrapping up. I'm headed to the Smokinos and the Poconos. I get a kick out of enjoying my vices. I'll be with good friends, good people, good company, good cigars. We're going to see you all next week. We're going to see what the Met-Yankees series does to the New York Metropolitans. It's been Angie's Angles coming to you live from Smoke Therapy, 215 Ronkonkoma Avenue. If you're ever in the neighborhood, stop on by. I'll buy you a cigar. Good night. God bless. I love you.